بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. So we're mentioning the next chapter, one of the chapters in this book, is Halu Salafi in the Maut, the condition and the situation with the Sahaba, Tabi'un, Tabu Tabi'in, and how they would behave and how they would act at the time of death. Now you have to remember, you're not going to miraculously change your behavior at the time of death. The way you live your life is the way you will die. That's why, for example, if any of you have ever seen at the time of Udhiyah, when you slaughter a sheep, what happens? It starts to kick its feet. It's not really kicking its feet. What's it doing? Its initial reaction is to do what? Is to run. So when you slaughter it, then it loses its thinking thing and it reacts normally. What a normal reaction would be to run. So when you get in a very difficult situation, you behave as how you have trained yourself to behave your whole life. So that's why sometimes young people, when you say this or this thought or this concept that I just do now, when I get older, when I do Hajj, when I do Umrah, I'll do Tawbah, and when I get older I'll change. It doesn't work like that. It's possible, but it takes a lot more effort because the habits you create in your life are the habits which become part of you. So you can't switch off just like that, but you can change your habits. It takes very long, and then you have relapses. So when you're young, make sure you inculcate in yourself very good habits, because then this is how you will be. So that's why, for example, when you're really angry, one person will say the F word, and the other person will say Astaghfirullah. Both are angry, but one has trained himself to remember Allah. He says Astaghfirullah, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. That's how he's trained himself, that he always does the dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the other person, he's got bad habits, so he says a swear word, a curse word. So similarly, you will, in this hadith we see, in the seerah, one Sahabi, he was, at the time in one of the battles, expeditions, he was betrayed and he was stabbed in the back. So when he was stabbed, what came out of his tongue? Straight away, Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba. So you stab, and straight away, he didn't get angry, he didn't say anything, he said Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba, because his entire life, he had this concept that I want to spend my life for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and if I am killed, somebody martyrs me, and justly I am martyred, then this is my success. So initially his brains reacted, Fustu wa Rabbil Kaaba. This is what I'm successful. And then we see some people when they get in a car accident or something, or they die, they start swearing, or they start, because that's how they've spent their whole life. So these stories that you read of people having very amazing deaths, meaning at the time of the last moments, what they're doing, they're in tilawah, they're in dhikr, remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All of these things, it's not a miracle that's going to happen. You can say, oh, when I die, I am going to do that. This is how you train yourself throughout your whole life. The habits you inculcate in you, these will come to fruition at the time of your death. So all of us, doesn't matter if you're 10, 11, 12, or if you're 50 or 40, try to inculcate good habits in you so at the time of death, these things come to fruition. You understand? So the story is mentioned here is that Ibrahim ibn Hani, so Abu Bakr al-Naysabur, he says that when Ibrahim ibn Hani, rahimahullah, when he was dying, he said to his son Ishaq, I'm thirsty, get me some water please. So he brought some water, and then he looked up and looked outside and said, Ghabati Shams, has the sun set? So he said, no. So he said, okay, just give it a bit of time. So then they looked at him like, you're dying and you're weak, because when a person dying, he was sick and he was weak. So he's in last days. What was he doing? He was fasting. So he probably lost consciousness that is he fasting or is he not fasting. So he asked for water. Then it clicked to him that I'm fasting. So he looked at the side and he saw that the sun wasn't set yet. It's still bright. It's quite bright. So he said, has the sun set yet? He said, no, leave it. So then he said, I don't want the water. Let's wait for iftar. And then he said, لِمِثْلِ هَذَا فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْآمِلُونَ. It comes in Surah Safat. لِمِثْلِ هَذَا فَلْيَعْمَلِ الْآمِلُونَ. Like, this is what we should, this is for the last day we're dying. For our death we should prepare. So he returned the water. He said, just wait for he returned the water, meaning he said, no. Meaning wait for iftar. فَخَرَجَتْ رُوحُهُ. And his soul left. And he died in that condition while fasting. But you can't say, oh, you spent your whole life, you never had voluntary fast, you never performed your salah, you never done anything, and then you can die in sajda. It's not going to happen. Yes, illa masha'Allah, maybe do tawbah. But what I'm saying is, we have to inculcate these good habits. So the point of these stories is not for us to say, I will do this when I die. The point of these is that I will learn these things, and when I learn these things, what will happen? I will act upon these things. This will become my habit and my behavior. And then later on, what will happen? It will become my natural habits, and inshallah, I will have a good death. Does everyone understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And there's many stories like this. There's another one here. Yes. So another story here, it says here that Junayd rahimahullah, when he was dying, he was reading the Quran. So somebody said to him, Ya Al-Qalam, irfaq bi nafsik. Take it easy, you're not well, you're unhealthy. So he said, Ya Aba Muhammad, ما رأيت أحدا أحوج إليه مني في هذا الوقت. So by the turn of Mus'haf, he said, look, I'm weak, I'm very ill, I know that I'm very old, but who needs a'mal more? I have not much time to do a'mal. I'm very old and I could possibly die in this state. So this is when I need the a'mal the most. You're telling me take it easy, but this is when I need the amal the most. So again, you will only think of doing tilawah when you're dying if you spent your life in tilawah. If not, you will say, well, let me say one more message. If you're born in hospital, just think of it, realistically speaking. If you, let's save all of us, but if one of us becomes very severely ill and you're in hospital, what are you going to do? You're going to do what you normally do. So if your normal habit is to just watch movies or to binge on Netflix or Amazon, what's that thing called, video, whatever that's called, then when you're in hospital, what are you going to do? You'll watch that. And if your habit is, when I read books, I read, I write, I do dhikr, I do tilawah, in hospital do the same thing. So imagine right now, if this, imagine, let's not hope for this, but let's just think, like, let's safeguard us. We always plan for the worst. Let's imagine one of us now, we had a 1 month illness, and let's say one of us, where you have to be in hospital, but you could do things. What would we do? Would we be the person who's going to write something, read something, learn, study, read Islamic books, read non-Islamic books, read something fruitful? Would we do tilawah, we do dhikr, or would we say, I'm bored, let me go on Instagram and just watch loads of videos, or go on TikTok, or we go on Netflix? What would we do? So you yourself, I can't tell you, I don't know what you would do. You yourself judge. How would you spend your time? Obviously it will be difficult because you can't read tilawah the Quran the whole day, you get bored. But I'm saying is, would you be more inclined towards just watching stuff? Or you be inclined saying, well, no, it's a time to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the same way you can get rid yourself right now, how would I spend my time? Think of that way now. When I die, when I'm getting old, that's how I spend my time. The same way you spend, same way you spend your life is the same way you will do when you are dying. So the point of these stories is that live a good life. Yes, and don't think that let me just have a good time now, let me be wild and enjoy myself, and I'll do Hajj, and when I get married or when I get children or when I get a certain age, I will change. From right now, doesn't matter your age, from right now, inculcate good habits in your life. These habits will stay with you and they will bring great fruits in your life. And if you have bad habits, whether I've got bad habits, many of you have bad habits, let's try changing those and making them better so that we can change. If you have relapse, you make a mistake and slip again, let's talk about start again so that we have a good life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us the ability to act accordingly. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanakallah wa bihamdika, wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk.